August 27th, 2017. Little assessment on sweet corn, sunflowers, and that sort of thing. The sunflower has gotten quite massive. I think I showed that in one of the other videos. Pretty exciting to see big sunflower leaves like that. Anyway, I showed the wind damage on the fourth planting of the corn. I'm not sure I really showed the damage on the second and third plantings as well, so I'll do that quick. By the way, there's some rock and basil in here right now. This stuff is delicious. Been using it in my food, my cooking every night. Yeah, so a lot of these are laid over pretty bad. And this part here just basically flattened, almost like you rolled it under with a no-till roller. Pretty frustrating. Can still harvest corn ears out of it. Definitely more difficult to do that way. They're still green and still growing, so I'm going to let it keep sequestering carbon and building the soil. I'm thinking I'm going to do either potatoes or garlic in this lot next year. Probably potatoes, and I probably will shift my garlic to where potatoes were this last year. So third planting, similar damage in here, and I know it's hard to see, but actually I can look right through here now, thanks in part to the wind. And you can see it in here. Pardon me. You can see in here it's all laid down pretty bad. This is the corn that did not have enough nutrition, that I didn't feed very well apparently. And that row on the upper edge again is that row that had the super nutrition, and you can see again those ears are massive and large, and also because it had good nutrition, it was able to build stronger cell walls. It had more calcium available to it to build cell walls with, rather than trying to build cell walls with just nitrogen, which, you know, nitrogen is great for what it does, for its part in photosynthesis and plant growth and all. But if you want to build strong cell walls, you need lots of calcium available. And these clearly had a lot more calcium because they did not break down in the wind. You can see there's only a couple here that laid over. And down on the end here where the winds came through very strong. And you can see the damage, and, you know, and even in the first planting you can see where corn is laid over from where the wind came through here. And I can tell you the reason for that. There's no tree line or cover here to protect them, and that wind came in from the southwest right at us, right at the camera, and well, it hit this ridge here, and basically the ridge made it kind of cram into the ground, and it kind of ended up having to funnel through the only hole that could go out in the tree canopy out there. So I think that's why most of our damage is here, and you'll see that the wind direction obviously was headed pretty much straight at that hole over there. So gives you a good idea what happens. And so now we'll have a look at the fourth planting, which was not at tassel yet, and so was still in quite a vegetative state. It was also quite healthy. It was fed quite well, and it had been foliar fed quite well. And interestingly enough, this damage came at day 37. And if you've been familiar with corn and critical points of influence, you know that days 38 to 42 are the third major critical point of influence. And so the day after, although I was a little discouraged, I did decide to hit them with a foliar feed. And between the fact that they're in a vegetative state and my foliar feed, they've pretty much stood themselves back up from what looked like basically rolled under by a roller. So I'm pretty impressed with that, and it looks like I'll have a October 7th or so harvest, probably even a little earlier, maybe October 1st of sweet corn. And we'll get a chance to see under this a little bit higher nutrition program if these will produce more than 2 ears per plant more consistently. I'd love to see that. That would be a nice little badge of accomplishment for 2017 on my part. Some of these sunflowers took quite a stomping as well, which I'm really kind of sad about because these things were beautiful tall sunflowers. But this one's still rocking, and boy, is it hanging that heavy head, huh? I'll give her a little push here. You can see, watch her sway with the weight. So I'll have a decent seed run on that this year. Just nice because my seed was getting old on those. This is the other big one that was up there. You can see that was loaded with flowers, and I could tell you this thing weighs probably, wow, probably all of 30 pounds. Yeah, I would say about 30 pounds. So that's a monster. Let's look at the base of the stem here. Oh yeah, you can see where it ripped the root right out. Yeah, and look at the size of some of the roots coming off of this sunflower. Those roots were no joke, and it shredded them. It was just too much wind load, like putting a big antenna up in the wind. You gotta guy it and support it, and if you don't, it develops a lot of leverage. That is a solid 2.5 inches in diameter right there, that stem. I mean, that thing would make a heck of a club. Wow. So yeah, that was under high nutrition also. It's a shame that got knocked over, but I'm sure it will still flower. It's still pretty well attached to the soil, and I probably could even guy it up. I may. We'll see how inspired I get about it. At the moment, I'm just glad it's surviving and more excited about my corn standing back up than anything else. See, I mowed off where the garlic was here, and I've left a heavy layer of mulch and residue here. I do have to come back and add some more mulch on top of where these weeds are trying to come up and make sure to suppress them. But maintaining that soil cover, it's critical. That it really is critical. And I know I talk about it all the time, but that's only because it's important. So this is buckwheat. This, I fed this like, I want to say 3 days ago, and I went back and looked in the chart, and it was only at 19 days from germination. Which I have to say really actually blows my mind, because it's flowering 19 days from germination, and it's, well, to my knee, yeah. I mean, it's all of 18 inches, maybe as tall as 24 inches in spots. Very dense and healthy. So this cover crop is doing wonderful, and given the fact that it's flowering this early, we're still in late August here at latitude 42 in New York State. And so we typically don't get our first frost, or at least our first expected frost date is October 20th. I hope that holds true, or later this year. So I expect we will get some seed from it, and I probably will either capture some of the seed for next year, or both. Either capture some seed or run the chicken tractor over it with the chickens and let them eat the seed and scratch it up and till it in and make the soil even better. Probably will do a little bit of both. Anyway, that's doing really well. That inspires me to plant a lot more cover crops. Just seeing the success of it and how easy that crop is to put in, and it's not too expensive on seed, if I remember correctly. It wasn't too bad, so I would say that's well worth doing, and yeah, that's doing well. Over here I started harvesting some of the potatoes. Some are still growing. I guess I should go back and discuss potatoes. So let me split this into a separate video, actually.